What is this you're seeing? Wait a minute. Wait. Is this a graphic series video? Technically, it's not a graphic series video. It's more of an initial thoughts of how I feel about the new and improved Fox graphics that was introduced in the Los Angeles Coliseum this couple Sundays ago at this point. This was from the Busch Light Clash. I'm gonna tell you how I feel about it. The biggest thing is right out of the gate is you see Kurt Busch navigating the quarter-mile track. The number font and the text feels different. It feels more alive. It's more energetic. It's not boring, dull, and uninspired, but at the end of the day, it's basically the same formula, but just more colorful, unique, and more interesting. As you saw, the text font is basically the NASCAR logo that what we have right now. And right here, you see the name, the number font, and oh my goodness, don't get me started with these Driven-inspired cartoons. I feel like if Fox Sports were inspired by something, they had to have played the 2001 video game called Driven. Yes, there is a video game called Driven. And I'm surprised David Len has not done a video game review of such blasphemy, to tell you the truth. Yeah, if you see the Driven video game, those cartoons that you see in the driver menu literally looks like what Fox are doing right now. As you see as well, it feels more alive. There's more energy. The text is unique. It's italicized. I am okay with it initially, as I wasn't too keen with the idea that the texts are italicized, but you see the event subject, the flag color, and in this case, in the qualifying, you see Clash at the Coliseum. And as you saw in the race, and you see later, you see the lap indicator. Again, it's going to be top 20, even though a couple years ago they showed as many as 25. 10 will usually stay on one area. 11 onwards will change after a while. Here's a better look of what, honestly, they should just stick with. The number font, the name, all the info, like the years of the cup, their age, and all that stuff. That hasn't changed, but I'd rather have that than the cartoons in my book. It just makes them look hokey. If you want to be hokey, go full 1995 TBS Kitty Grid. If you want to be taken serious, then I know the NFL does it. I know that even that looks hokey, but they only have it for key players like your Russell Wilsons, your Matthew Staffords, your Aaron Rodgers, your Odell Beckham Jr., your Tom Brady's. But for NASCAR, to every driver have their own cartoon, it just doesn't look great. It just literally looks like Driven, the video game. As you see, Ryan Preece, you saw the lap indicator, the time, all of that stuff. That hasn't changed. Right over here, you get a better look of the scoring pylon. That's what it is. And the footage you're seeing is literally the only ones I was able to find because NASCAR's uploads only have the international upper ticker. They do. And another thing I want to note on that infographic of Ty Dillon, it's not flat centered because of the pylon. For those international viewers, it just looks jarring. Like, I like things to be more centered. Being from the States, because of the pylon, you can't really center it properly, because if you center it, it's going to clash with the pylon. Some people like the pylon, a lot of people don't like the pylon. I don't mind the pylon, honestly. And if you look real quick where you see the 42, that's the indicator of where they're at the moment that they're running at the track for qualifying. That's nothing new. We've seen it with NBC and TNT, to where they have a little tracker on the left side of the screen, and then once their session is done, it'll either scroll up or scroll down, depending on where they qualified. But what I do like about this qualifying pylon is when somebody moves up to the starting lineup, or like they qualify really good, there's a green arrow. When you don't qualify that good, there's a down arrow. And yeah, you already saw a graphical error. The 51 box just looks weird. And in the past, when it comes to heat races, or even in this scenario, to where, if I recall, based on what we're seeing with the 51, the top 4 here is where that's based on who's going to be pulled for those heat races, or more or less where the 51 is at the running order at the moment of the running qualifying. I do like it. It's more, you see, there's a lot of curves in those shapes. It's not rectangle, square, it's not flat, sharp, and all of that. There's some sharp turns into it. As far as the name identifier, I got a little, I'm gonna call it blood paint, in this case for Brian Petty. With this weather graphic, bold, really bold I do like it though. I'm just not a fan of these cartoon graphics. It just looks hokey. And they make BJ McLeod look bloated. If you have not played Driven the video game, you have not seen any footage of Driven the video game, find it on YouTube. Find it, find it, find it. Look at the drivers. Look at Joe Tanto. And look at BJ McLeod or Ryan Priest or whoever. Don't tell me they don't look like the animation from the Driven video game. And as you see with Priest, you have the number, and then boom, it expands with the infographic, or in this case, the qualifying lap that Priest had, the best one he had. And the background move, I really like that. The moment the graphic is going to show is just the number font, and it expands open. That is pretty neat. They dig it a lot. I really enjoy it. The biggest thing, there's life into those graphics. There's life. It's not boring. All right, now let's just move forward with Todd Gilliland. As you see, the tachometer. You get your RPM, the acceleration, and the brakes. That one is very unique. The only thing I'm going to knock a little bit is that it could be lowered down. I get the tachometer is in the middle. It's well aligned and all of that, but it needs to be lowered down for a bit. And as you see in the footage, unless you click full screen in this video, it's very, very difficult to tell the running order. It's hard to read. You want people to look at it and it's like, okay, I understand where he is, not squint on the screen to see, is that a 2? Is that an 8 and all that? That's the only main criticism. Now let's jump in with the generic starting lineup, which you're more likely going to see when the duels officially are done and show the official grid. The background of the number font manufacturer and the dreadful cartoon, they move. It has the background colors correct and accurate. I really hope Fox step up their game and actually change it based on the colors and all of that, because that's been the biggest flaw. Is the background and their number fonts when they're showing the grid, infographic, pylon, just in general. No, it's not necessarily that they have the wrong number fonts or generic number fonts clashing with the main number fonts like we saw with NBC and TNT's first-gen graphics, especially the second one. It's that sometimes the number fonts, especially in ARCA, especially and specifically in ARCA, it looks terrible. It looks like they were disproportionate. They were not cropped good. The number font is way too stretched. It just looks terrible. It looks like they just screenshot the paint scheme from NR 2003, try to get it in center. They didn't time it well. And it's like, I'm not gonna go waste more time just to get it to the precise moment. I'm just gonna use that number font, crop, get rid of all the background, magic wand, and just use the number font, and there, good enough. No, that's just unacceptable. That just looks lazy in my book. As you see in the last year's qualifier heat number 1, you see the lap indicator. It will change to laps to go. I do like it. Yes, it's not like NBC where there's some flashiness and gradients and all of that stuff, but for what it's worth, I do like what Fox has. And you see, it's transparent. It's transparent. The backdrop, the pylon is transparent. And for this scenario, for heat and last year's qualifiers, those who are in the safe zone, the text, the number font, their name is bigger. I really like that touch. It works in this scenario because there's no 20, 30 cars. There's not. I'd be curious to see how they're going to do the duels. I'd imagine they probably do the same thing here. Say Jacques Villeneuve is the top open car. They're going to emphasize that he is the top open car like this. If it's like that, I think it could work, but I'd be curious to see. As right now, Eric Almirola slapped the wall to bring out the first red flag of the 2022 season. And yeah, my prediction is already wrong by a technicality because I did say here's a little better close-up of the name font. Ooh, the transition just looked really slow. That didn't look good. This is just too cartoony. It just doesn't look appealing to me. While at it, there's as you see underneath the Fox NASCAR logo, it says Los Angeles. I'm curious to see if they're going to do this for every single race to remind people where they at, like Daytona, Darlington, Charlotte, Coda. But it's a huge improvement. It's just literally a huge improvement. It's very patriotic, very American. People love their Americana stuff. But with the transition from replays, it just looks slow. It just looks slow in the molasses. At the end of the day, I give this a B. A B. It's a huge improvement. It feels alive. It's not boring, dull, uninspired. I know a lot. I don't mind the pylon. I really don't mind it. I think I said it in 2018 when they introduced the pylon to the Fox telecast that I was okay with it. Over time, I still don't mind it. I mean, what ESPN did in the late 90s is a little bit better because all you had is the laps and the number and the position and car number. Sometimes they'll expand to the name and manufacturer. It's very clean and simple. This one is pretty busy. A lot of people don't like busy graphics, and I can totally understand that. Sometimes I don't. As you see the double screen, this looks a lot better than what NBC does, because NBC does top to bottom vertical and Fox does it horizontally. I prefer horizontal when you show a double image, but at the same time, I'd rather see full-blown images of the action going on. Unless there's multiple battles going on, then you would suffice to show multiple angles. I can understand that. And one last note about the top three in the last chance qualifier that are in position to advance. You can actually tell the position, unlike with Gilliland's qualifier, you can barely tell with the tachometer. Now the elephant in the room is what in the world is going to happen to the television graphic series. The last one I did was NBC Part 2 in 2019. And I said the CBS will be the next one in line. And I'm going to be specific about this. When I eventually and finally get to the CBS one, I'm not done with the series. A lot of stuff has happened personally and professionally that I haven't been able to do any of this stuff like I want to. And I need the motivation, the time, and the passion to get back. For CBS, as I mentioned, it's going to be Daytona 500. It's only and only Daytona with two major exceptions. 1997 and after 2000 when it comes to Champ Car and Kart. I want to talk about those very briefly when we get to that episode. See where I feel like if NASCAR stuck around, it was either going to look better or worse. Because as the years went on with CBS, some people liked it, some people don't. But there were some innovations then and there that I really enjoyed. And when I get to it, you'll understand why. And of course, you're going to see your graphical errors, stuff that I'm going to criticize. Like, especially the 1997 grid, I really did this one of my least favorite grid graphic packages ever because it just looks, it's just why. I'll get to it when we get to it. My goal, get it out there by year's end. Fingers crossed, I do remember to get it done by year's end because remember, I have a life. I have multiple jobs. I write. I shoot photos. You saw it in my prediction video what I primarily do. You've seen my interviews with Jeff Gordon, Jeff Burton, to name a few. You're going to see a little bit more of that when I'm at Daytona. By the time you're seeing this, I'll be at Daytona. You'll be seeing some content in there. I may dabble into some vlogging. But best for sure, the graphic series is not over. It is not over. Still got CBS, ABC, and both ESPN runs to look at. And that's been the biggest thing with my channel. Time, motivation, and I do depend on numbers. That's why I still contemplate whether or not I want to do more red flag videos in the future. That's why, especially this past year's red flag video, this is the reason why I don't want to tackle Xfinity or trucks. And I do depend on those numbers because it takes time and dedication. If you want to hear about red flags, I highly encourage y'all to follow my Twitter because I will talk about red flags, especially when it happens. A brief summary of what lap, what event, and if I'm on site like I was in the Clash, and I will be at Daytona as well, you'll see my works. You'll see it. I want to do more red flag content, but the numbers need to be there. And as far as the commentators being upset, it's a to be determined on what I'm going to do with that series. The future is in doubt for that one, and in my opinion. The first couple were fun, but after a while, I just ran out of time and interest. There's still many clips that I've been sent and suggested that I will try to dabble on. I just need to find the fire and motivation to do it again. The numbers have not looked good. The red flag video numbers this past year are terrible. That's kind of why I'm kind of like very inconsistent with my uploads because it just needs to be there. And I also need time. The fact that I was able to do a prediction video in the first place, it's because I was having health issues for a good while. I had time to do it. I had time to do those NASCAR Thunder videos. So yeah, at least I've done a NASCAR Thunder 2004 video in some capacity. So there you go. I accomplished something in my YouTube career. But other than that, I hope you enjoyed this video and I hope this is kind of like a review / update to my channel. Hopefully you'll see more content from me while at Daytona. If I remember or bother to do a vlog, you'll probably see it. Yes, I'm going to break kayfabe in that regard because I don't do face reveals. You might have seen it a couple times if you've seen me in person. You know who I am. I don't do it because I like to keep things a little kayfabe, especially with my channel. But this year, it's going to be more about what I do And I hope you guys understand what I do is what I live and thrive for. But for now, until we meet again, I hope you enjoyed this video. You know the social media channels at the outro. But other than that, have a good weekend ahead. Until then, I'll be at Daytona and I'll see you guys later.